Welcome to Herald Square. This is where I reflect in a more speculative way on things. I'm going to talk about why I think it will take a whole century to unravel the pickle that we are in, and therefore that it doesn't really matter, and I'm talking about in the United States, who you vote for, or getting excited about the daily news, having a newspaper in your hand, and all this kind of thing. Even if, as I suspect, we will have manufactured and natural emergencies off and on during the century, I think that the main thing to be aware of is that there is a simple fact a few simple facts about our society that lead to what I'm going to say. One of the simple facts is the destruction of community, and the fact that atomization is prevalent, and that we don't really have the community that we want, and that this is the product of sprawl, in part by the suburbanization, the polarization, and various other causes. So file that just community in your mind, and I will continue. The related fact or suggestion, I'll make a suggestion, I don't claim to have all the facts. The remaining major suggestion that I have is that the economic health of not just our society but all societies is dependent in ways that go largely unrecognized on density. In the United States, for example, we have an average of about, I think, less than 100 people per square mile. Well, 100 people per square mile in terms of an economy is impossible. No, particularly the kind of economy that we have. We have an economy which is made up of the products, huge lists of products, all produced by a fairly small number of mega corporations. There's a bunch of niche operations sort of at the edge of this massive corporate juggernaut. But essentially, we're in a situation where we are beholden to these mega corporations, and they do things like they produce our food with agribusiness, and they create our transportation with oil and with roads. The Koch brothers, if you just scan a list of their products, you'll see all the elements of our current sprawl economy. Well, to untangle this to the point where we could have a rational society, a communal society, a society where people live and move together in ways that are that make for friendship and for conversation and for love and for fulfillment and for all the things that we look for in a community, what we first have to do is sit back and recognize, well, this problem of community and this problem of density are related. The proper density for a community, as Christopher Alexander noted in pattern language, is a community of about maybe 10,000 people. 10,000 people will have the talents and the diversity needed to spawn and create local businesses. Now, given the fact that these mega corporations have basically cornered the market on us, what can we do? The only thing that I can think of is that we need to insist that the whole franchising of everything be scaled to communities of around 10,000 people, and that we begin to form out of the morass of metropolitan United States, and out of the dispersion of rural America, a kind of recreation of our society based on the third element. We've talked about community, we've talked about density. Let's talk about security. Security is a matter of being reasonable when it comes to what we can predict. And being reasonable about what we can predict involves such things as being aware that if you happen to live in a cyclone corridor, it doesn't make much sense to keep on rebuilding. It may, home sweet home and all this kind of thing may be the most powerful force in the world, but it approaches a diminishing returns when we have these weather emergencies. And the same thing is true of the rising of the oceans on our shorelines and so forth and so on. I am waiting for entrepreneurs and inventors to begin to understand that we need a kind of a Mandelbrot look at how we build and structure and create spaces in which we can occupy. And we begin to see these communities, whether they're formed out of existing structures or whether they are seen to be more rationally and smartly created from scratch. These will be integral in the sense that they will contain places where we can sleep. They will contain spaces where we can gather. They will contain places where we can eat. They will contain places where we can gratify our curiosity about things, aka schools, I suppose. They will contain entertainment. They will contain the public viewing areas that I think will begin to create more on-the-ground community, so that we can watch everything from the Metropolitan Opera to anything we want, sports, whatever. But not wrapped up in a family room somewhere. The whole logic behind sprawl is based upon having been sold a notion of well-being that is an encumbrance for many people, and certainly for people who enjoyed, as I did, Arcade Fire's perorations on sprawl. We don't need this. Grab your mother's keys, we're leaving. That kind of idea. In any case, it's going to take a century to deal with a density problem. There are some people who think seriously about this, who've done a good deal more acceptable work than I have on this matter. And it just simply stands to reason that most of our thinking about population is out of whack. Density and dealing with density in a reasonable manner will solve many problems that we relate to population. So will freedom of movement. So will regarding the world as where we all live and move and have being. Well, I guess this constitutes just a kind of a chat-like introduction to these issues, and the main reason is to say, look, when President Obama, with the best will in the world, is happy that we're building cars again and selling houses again, he's talking about something that isn't going to last. It's just not sustainable. We don't have thinkers, as far as I've found, who are even concerned about this. There are a few of them. I think the governor of Colorado, began to speculate about the value of, say, having car-free communities. I don't claim to know what he thinks, but we need to have a much deeper conversation and to understand that nothing is going to really change until we begin to move beyond the silly politics of the present and grasp at the nettle of a future which is complex and yet which is filled with the possibility that we will begin to free our minds and to use our minds and to learn to think. I'm writing a book called How to Think. It's going to be a Kindle book, real simple. And I honestly think that thinking can be taught. Anyway, that's enough for now. I mean in this video simply to say it's going to take a whole century to undo the mess we're in and to do the right thing. Restore community. Restore and create proper densities, and have an eye toward security, building in places that are safe, and building with economies that require new inventions and new products. The whole engine of future prosperity for this country that no one has even begun to do yet. Thanks.